Fear Zone Channel, your channel of terror. Hello, good night everyone, and now we go to today's account, which is of Mr. Jorge, and this happened to him in the city of Pelotas, which is in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, and at that time it was in the year 1998. Mr. Jorge was 38 years old. But before you start this spectacular story, sign up for the channel to receive our new videos every week. And now, let's go to today's story. Well, my name is Jorge, I'm still a trucker, and in my profession, although I really enjoy working traveling, I've seen many sinister things by these roads in the early hours, but one night, what happened to me on the road was something almost impossible to believe, because I gave a ride on the road for a strange woman who to me was a vampire, and I spent the greatest danger of my life, and it was very lucky that I came out alive from this story. And already starting my report, one night I was driving my truck and going to pick up a load in a city in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, and arriving in that state, I went through some municipalities. However, I was passing through the lane near a small town, and that I saw a woman on the highway. When I got close to her, I stopped my truck because I saw that this young lady was well dressed, and it seemed that she would go to some party. The fact is that this woman was very beautiful. She was blonde, and her skin was very white and pale. It was like this young woman had never sunbathed. But the strange thing is, the place she was, it was too risky for a girl like that to be there at that time, and it was already late at night. To go to a party at the dance club. I began to distrust this story. At that moment, I began to feel something bad in the air. Soon I thought not to give a ride to this woman, that by her appearance she would be around 24 to 28 years at the most. As I talked to her, her eyes appealed to me more and more. And I, in that state of hypnotized, could not get out of that mental domain. Anyway, she got in my truck. I was walking this woman in my vehicle against my will. And to make matters worse, I obeyed the commands of this strange woman, and I got off the highway driving my truck, and I got into several streets of land. As soon as we got on a dirt and dark road, this strange woman told me to stop the truck on a deserted dirt street, and I did it without contesting. I stopped the truck in a dark place full of woods. I felt amazement at this strange woman near me, but I couldn't get out of this mental crash. And the answer I could speak was just the words yes, yes, and no, no. Then she started kissing me. I was paralyzed without any action, but when she kissed my neck, something happened, because this woman walked away from me very fast, and it seemed like this stranger, she was afraid of something I was carrying. And I realized it was my silver chain that I wore around my neck that tormented the girl and kept her away from me. But as soon as I looked at her, I saw this woman with a whole modified appearance, for now she looked like a monster, and her eyes were all black, and her mouth was so big she could swallow a person's head, and that girl's teeth were like the teeth of a shark. This vampire tried to attack me again and advanced on me, but I, who was lucid, and managed to put my feet in front and defend myself, and I began to kick this creature back, and also at that time of danger, I managed to open fast the cab door of the truck, and threw myself out of the cabin, and I fell to the ground of the dirt road, and I got up fast, and I ran out of that place, like running away in fear that the vampire would chase me down the road, but by my luck, the creature didn't chase me. After running a lot, I managed to get to a neighborhood of a city, which was near the track, and I went into a gas station, and I got a phone, and I called the highway police. I told the cops that someone took my truck, and I didn't even know who it was, but that I had seen my truck parked on a deserted road, but I didn't have the guts to go to the vehicle alone. The cops talking on the phone, they said they'd be here soon to investigate. After almost half an hour, the cops arrived, and there were 4 road guards. Then I went with them up the road where my vehicle was. And arriving at the scene, the cops came out with their guns in their hands and pointed in the direction of the truck and into the woods next door, thinking it would be a group of thieves who did it with the vehicle. And they began to distrust this story, that there was something wrong and that I was lying. I ended up telling the truth to the cops, that I was kidnapped by a vampire woman, and I came along with her, and I stopped my vehicle in this place. The guards entered the woods to see if they could find any other clues, but they found nothing. The cops, they suspected me, and they ended up taking me to the station, and getting there, the cops kept asking me a bunch of questions, what the woman looked like that I found on the road, and her age, and the clothes she was wearing, and stuff too. I stayed this whole morning, answering the questions, and as I had no criminal passage in the police, I ended up being released. But when I was leaving with my truck, one of the cops, who was the oldest, he told me that 10 years ago, he went with some cops, investigate an occurrence that happened on a deserted road, and the cops found a parked car with a dead man inside the vehicle, and the strangest is that the victim's body was practically without blood, because several bites were found by the body of the corpse, which was where the blood was sucked. And from the autopsy they did on the body, the coroner didn't understand the result, because it looked like the driver killed in the car was attacked by an animal, and by a person at the same time. This military told me, if it's true what I said, there must be a vampire woman out there, and it could be that it was this creature that sucked the driver's blood, who was dead in the car. After I talked to the old cop, I got into the cab of my truck, and I started driving my vehicle down the highway to pick up a load in a nearby town. Anyway, while I was traveling and driving my vehicle, I kept thinking about this terrible story of what happened to me, and even though I found this vampire, the worst of this creature is that the vampire manages, hypnotizes people, and controls even their wills. And my luck is that I was wearing a silver chain, and this creature tried to attack me, but the silver chain pushed this vampire away from me. I don't think this creature likes silver. And in my story, I learned one thing: I never stop on the road at night to give a woman a ride. And of all the cases of reports of terror, which I've been through and heard from other truckers, my story is the most impressive of all. And I leave a warning for all drivers: be careful, especially if you see some woman in the early hours near the city of Pelotas, because you can find that vampire woman. Good guys, thanks for watching my video, and if you liked the report, subscribe to the